Stephen A., obviously I side with Mike Evans' analysis of Johnny's psyche and his leadership intangibles. But I do want to say, and we've discussed Nolan Noraki's analyses before on this show, as Kerry said, on Cam, scathing, on Gino, scathing, about intangibles or lack thereof, work ethic, lack thereof. Now he's trained his sights on Johnny. I will say there are certain points that Nolan made that I do agree with. I do have concerns about Johnny partying too much. And I do have concerns that he will, down the road, after he becomes a high pick, will he adjust his Hollywood lifestyle to fit a more business-like pro football lifestyle required to be a top-level pro football quarterback. I believe he will, but I think that's a valid concern. Now, back to the top of the quote. Manziel, to quote Noraki, carries a sense of entitlement and prima donna arrogance. It's what I love about him. He believes he is the best, and he backs it up. I also disagree with not a leader by example or known to inspire by his words. Did Nolan watch the Chick-fil-A bowl game against Duke when Manziel came out at halftime, after halftime, and basically willed his team to a huge comeback win over the Duke Blue Devils? He was screaming at his defense and screaming at his defensive coordinator that you will not allow this to happen. You will get us a stop and get the football back. I think he can be extremely vocal, and his presence alone, his aura alone, his refuse to lose psyche alone inspires a football team, and that's what Mike Evans is getting at. I would go to war with him. So, bottom line, some valid points, but mostly unfair, and I think off the mark.
Are we surprised? I mean, this man is unfair for, what is it, a third year in a row? It's Cam Newton a couple of years back, Geno Smith last year, and now Johnny Manziel. I give him credit for this. He clearly isn't prejudiced. He's an equal opportunity individual with this kind of stuff, and I can respect that. It's just that what I'm saying is that clearly, like you told me, somebody's telling him this stuff. I guess for me, what I have a problem with is, as an individual that's covered the NBA for nearly 20 years, when we hear stuff, it's very rare in the day that you see this kind of analysis thrown out about NBA players. I mean, if guys get in trouble with the law, or they're a huge headache, or whatever the case may be, that's different. But barring that, you simply don't get that from, or you simply don't get that from scouts, player personnel, people, etc., about athletes on that level in the sport of basketball. I just think that when it comes to the NFL, they've set a standard that allows people to be so invasive because every little minutia is judged so harshly as a potential detriment to a locker room, to a team, etc. And I just don't find that to be the case. When you look at a guy like Johnny Manziel, he works hard, he's an incredible talent, he's produced on a collegiate level at a very high level. He's a Heisman Trophy winner as a freshman. He's a Heisman Trophy finalist as a sophomore. When you look at what he has done and his refuse to lose persona and attitude, I find it to be something that's galvanizing. I find it to be something that's inspirational. And I find it to be something that NFL fans crave for their athletes to have. And when he has it, all of a sudden, we've got to find a problem with that. It's really unfortunate that that happens because, unfortunately, you know, critiques like that on the NFL level actually impacts your draft status from time to time. And I just think that that's incredibly unfair. I look at a Todd McShay or Mel Kiper Jr., and what I get from them 99% of the time is football analysis and what somebody brings to the football field. They might mention the other things that may come across as concerns, but it's an aside. with this particular guy, it seems to take up such a bulk of his critique of a player that's what concerns me. And I just, again, I'm not knocking him. He has a job to do. I'm sure he's incredibly knowledgeable about the sport of football. And like you've informed me last year, he's not making it up. Somebody's telling it to him. So I'm certainly not going. I'm not going to sit here and criticize him on that level. I'm just saying that to give that kind of critique and for it to have an impact about, and it's a critique about people you've never met, you don't know. It's just, it's not whether it's him or the reporter, whatever.
Sure.
It just reeks of personal as opposed to performance.
Yeah.
And that's what concerns me. It should be the other way around.
Yeah, I don't think it is personal on his part.
Right.
I do think he's doing his homework, talking to a lot of the NFL people. I'll just throw this to you. I keep in touch with a lot of NFL people I've known for a long time. A majority of them are very skeptical of Johnny Manziel as a pro football quarterback. They're extremely skeptical of what he's done of late because this Johnny, for the recent time being, has retired from public life. We're not seeing him on Twitter, not seeing him in the nightlife, in the hot spots. He's not going to Austin to University of Texas frat parties on Friday and Saturday night. He has gone to a football camp with George Whitfield. He is learning and developing his craft, and he is all business. But they wonder, to me, is it all just for the time being? Is it all an act just to get drafted high?